All right, this is Reginald Perryman with Regius Real Estate, and I am here today with Tammy Dean from State Farm Insurance. And we're going to have a great discussion today about everything in regards to the new changes with auto insurance here in Michigan. So Tammy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, Reggie. So I am Tammy Dean. I own a State Farm agency. I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary, May 1st. I have a real estate background, which is how you and I know each other. I was in real estate for about 16 years before I got into insurance.
Okay. All right. So explain a little bit to us about what we're looking at now, is because my understanding is most Michigan people that are insured for their auto policies are going to receive some discounts, and then there are some opportunities for us to have additional discounts as well. And that starts in July, is that correct?
Right, July 1st, the law is going to change. And it's not just about discounts. The biggest thing is since 1973, Michigan has always had unlimited medical. So the new law is about medical and liability coverages. Okay. And that's what's changing. There's always been a rate that you've paid for having unlimited medical in Michigan. So now you will no longer have unlimited medical. You'll be able to pick your medical, and you could pick unlimited. But the point is that you have a choice now. And that's what's going to make the difference. It makes a difference in how you choose, but it all depends on everybody's situation is going to be different. It's all going to be based on individual situations, and it just depends on what your situation is.
Okay, so explain a little bit about unlimited medical, because my understanding is that that's protection that's covering you in case you get into an accident. Is that correct?
Right, right. So the biggest thing is I tell my customers, it's an example of you come to a red light, there's a car in front of you, there's a car behind you. Some people say, well, I've never been in an accident. I haven't been in an accident in 10 years. Well, that's why they call them accidents. Things happen. And what you have to worry about is normally people call the insurance company and they say, I want the cheapest policy. I want to pay the least amount. And I always explain to my customers, make sure you understand what that means and the type of coverage that you're getting for the least amount. And that means that if you get into an auto accident and you make a mistake, it's always a mistake, and you hit the car in front of you, they could sue you. And if they sue you, you're looking to how much of that do you want your auto insurance company to pay? And if you're asking them to pay and you only have 20/40, that means we're only paying $40,000, and $40,000 might not be enough.
Right. Okay. So it's just covering it's insuring the person, the driver, as well as the person that was injured in the accident.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So the biggest thing is lawsuit. So what I always like to tell my customers, I have the conversation with my customers, and I have what I call a holistic conversation. So I ask questions about, your world. What is your world like? How many kids do you have? Because the reason why I ask those questions is because I want to know, what am I protecting, or what do I need to protect where you're concerned? And that's exactly what it is. So it's not just about the vehicle. The biggest problem comes into play when you physically getting hurt, someone else physically getting hurt, or the lawsuit and they sue you and you don't have enough auto insurance to cover it. You don't have enough medical insurance to cover it. And then they come after you, after your assets. They come after your house, your car. They can take all types of income. They can garnish your wages, all of that. And people don't understand that all that plays a part.
Okay. All right. So just on average, let's say someone is paying, I know in some areas, someone may be paying $3,000 a year for auto insurance. Some people may be paying, $1,200 a year. And this has a lot to do with the type of health insurance you have.
It does.
Okay.
It does. Yep. It has everything to do. So I always ask that question, what kind of health insurance do you have?
Okay, so let's say someone has Blue Cross Blue Shield, for example, and they have a policy, and how much can they actually save? Like, what percentage will they be able to save after the new law is passed?
So I can't really give an exact percent. It really does go on a case by case. I am able to give you that price now, which is the biggest thing. I know a lot of companies that are not able to quote July rates right now, but State Farm is.
Okay.
So you can give me a call and I would be able to give you that price based on your individual situation.
Okay, all right. And so how would someone be able to, is there anywhere on your insurance statement or your insurance bill that you receive that shows how much is going towards the PIP is called, PIP?
Not currently, but it will be on your new bill.
All right, so.
Currently it just says PIP.
Okay.
It's not broken out into the different categories.
All right.
But that's when you, right. So the new law breaks it out into all the different categories and what type of PIP and your bodily injury.
Okay. So someone looking at their insurance policy and their statement, they can look at the portion that says PIP. They can call you or their agent and say, how much of this can I save based on my situation? Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. And they can continue with unlimited coverage. Is that correct?
They can.
Okay. Or they can choose
or they can choose something lower.
Okay.
Depending on their health care and their choice.
Right. Okay. That sounds perfect. Okay. Because maybe they have.
Because the thing about the health care is that they could have health care that gives them full medical. So if they have health care that gives them full medical, then they may not need the medical through us, and that's okay. And so then we take that off, and that makes their policy cheaper.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I will ask those questions, and I will, dive into those details of, will their medical cover them in case of an auto accident? And then important thing is, will it cover them long term? So we're not just talking about a simple fender bender. We're talking about you get paralyzed, you have some major damage. What the auto insurance will cover that the medical may not cover is the ramp on the house or the brand new van that you need now because you have to be in a wheelchair.
Right.
So those are the things that we really look into.
All right. So what I'm hearing you say is basically before someone just says, okay, I'm going to cancel everything and I want to keep this rate, really sit down and get an understanding of what's protecting you, in other words.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I say it's so important to have an agent that's going to take the time to do that versus you having a 1-800 number and just calling and you tell them what you want. I want cheap. They give you cheap and they don't ask you any questions.
Right. Now, I asked you about someone that has Blue Cross, but, in all honesty, let's talk about how does this play with someone that's maybe like on Medicaid or Medicare that's, some type of government assistance as far as insurance goes?
It plays the same because government assistance insurance is changing too to the new law. So it plays the same. They have even, more options. People with, Medicare A and B can totally opt out and it may make it very cheap. I still have the conversation with them to make sure because there are some things that Medicare doesn't cover. Right. So I go over that with them. And again, it's about, they have a choice. So I believe in education. So I educate them so they can make an educated decision. And if they say, Tammy, I'm good, I don't need those things, or I won't need those things, or I don't care about those things, then great. They can opt out without a problem.
Okay. So going back, so let's talk about just briefly. So what I'm hearing is basically someone that maybe drives, 20, 30,000 miles a year because of their job, or maybe they drive Uber or something like that, and they have Medicaid or government assistance as far as their insurance goes. may have a different situation than someone that drives, 8,000 miles a year and that
Absolutely.
cross Blue Shield or vice versa.
Yes.
Okay. But
Yes.
overall, there's still an opportunity to save quite a bit of money on your auto insurance.
Yes, it is definitely an opportunity. And the bottom line is you're going to get what you need and what you want.
Okay.
So you got choices. We give you all your options.
Okay.
And I have had some policies that have gone down and tremendously. So it just depends on your options.
Right. So, I know some people that are paying some high auto insurance, right? The question
They
is,
should call me and let's talk about it. They should call me.
I mean, because in some areas, and I mean, you know this as well as I do, some areas, the auto insurance might be more than a car.
I got you. I've heard that. I've heard that. I got some friends that say my auto is my highest bill I'm paying.
Yeah, I mean, you have a
that.
$5,000 car that's paid for, but I mean, you're $2,000 or $3,000 a year for auto insurance. So here's an opportunity to reduce that cost based on your needs, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, all right. Well, I have to be, I have to tell people the money you save, don't go out and buy a more expensive car just because you're saving it on auto insurance. I know the dealership tell you different, so.
Right. Don't do that. Right. No, and then we need to make sure they got life insurance and disability. So maybe that money they save, they take and put into a life insurance policy or a disability policy.
Right.
It's going to save them too.
You brought
protect their paycheck.
Yeah, you brought up a good point too. So let's say someone says, okay, I have health insurance that's going to cover me and I want to reduce my auto insurance, but they can add on disability insurance to kind of make up the difference in case they have some issues. They get into an accident or something happens there. You can look at that entire picture. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I meant when I said a holistic approach. We look at all of it and we talk about all of it.
Okay.
We're not just home and auto. We talk about, let's talk about your disability because that protects your paycheck and that gives you the money that you need too in the event that something happens.
Okay. And you brought up something else too. So when I talk about life insurance, and I'm not an insurance agent, but just to some of my clients when they're buying a home and they don't have life insurance, I feel like I'm beating people over the head when I talk about it. But just give us an idea. So like a term policy, whole life, which one is cheaper? Like, let's say someone is 35 or 40 years old, good health, and they just want maybe like, $500,000 in coverage.
I got you. So first thing is, remember, so that word cheap, I get it. We want to spend less money, but I try to tell people, so instead of cheap, let's talk about what you need. And then let's talk about what you can afford, and let's work from what you can afford to what you really need.
Okay.
That's the first conversation I have about life insurance. In terms of homes, we have a really good policy. We used to call it somewhat mortgage protection, but we don't call it that anymore. We call it return of premium. But with that policy, I always ask customers, how much do you owe in your mortgage? So and then my next question is, what is their budget? So between those two numbers, I try to work something out for them so we can do at least a policy that will at least pay off the mortgage so that their family doesn't have a problem with staying in the home if something happens.
Right.
Then we get into what are their other needs. I always ask them, what loans they have, what they're looking to pay off. So we find out what the number is that they need, and that number's based on the bills they have to cover, the house they want to stay in, and the income that they want their family to have, or the legacy that they want to leave to their family if something happens to them. So whatever that number is, and then we work from there. But, I talked to a customer today. We were doing a term policy for them, and it was $28. It depends on age.
Okay.
It depends on age. And then, in turn, I either do term policies, that's like renting a house, right?
Okay.
So that's what it is. It's a temporary policy, you're renting. And when that time period goes up, you got to make a decision. Either the policy is going to increase or the policy is going to go away. So I have that conversation with customers, and then we talk about a permanent policy. You could do a permanent policy, might cost you a little more money, a little less coverage, but it's a policy you'll have forever. It never changes. It never goes away. The price never changes.
Okay, so wait, let me stop you there. So basically term is just what that means, term.
It's rent.
Let's say you have a 10-year policy, you're paying $28 a month, and within that 10 years, if something should happen, you're gonna get whatever the policy, whether it's a $500,000 or $100,000 or $1 million policy, you're covered for that 10 years at $28 a month, right?
Right.
So if I'm a 35-year-old mother or father, and I want to make sure my children are taken care of if something happens to me over the next 10 years, then they're covered for $28 a month.
Right.
Let's say the end of that 10 years, then I have to apply for a new term policy that may cost me more because I'm older.
Because you're older, right? Or the policy that you have is going to increase at the end of that 10 years. So you can keep the one you have, it's going to increase. How much is going to increase may vary.
Okay.
So I always have that. Again, that's another full conversation that I have with people, and I ask specific questions. So sometimes people call me and they say, well, I just want a life policy and I want 500,000. I say, why do you want 500,000? Tell me what your thought is, so we can make sure that you get exactly what you need.
Okay. All right. So there may be a case where you don't need as much insurance. Like if you're older and say you have some cash and your children are older and you just they're not going to stay in the house. They're going to sell it.
Right.
So
I ask people, what do you want it for? What are you going to do with it? Because a term might not be the type of policy you need. It might be something else. And we might look at a retirement policy. There is a such thing as a policy that has living benefit and death benefit. The death benefit's there, God forbid something happen. But let's talk about the living benefit. Let me help you and show you how to use money while you're alive and make money.
Right. Okay. Because when
life insurance can do that for you, and people don't know that it's not just about the death benefit. There's a living benefit to it too.
All right. So what type of policy would that be exactly?
A permanent policy. So it would be, there's different types of permanent policies that do different things, but that's what it is. It's a permanent policy. So people, you either term policy or permanent policy, and then we talk about which types of permanent policies we can do.
All right. So for someone that doesn't have any insurance at all, regardless of the age, it's best to, really decide what I guess the idea is who will need this money if you're not here, right? If you're the provider or if you're contributing to the household. Yeah. And when we think about that, we think about our children first. But maybe you want to leave money to another relative or to cover expenses. Okay. All right. So you're looking at more than just, okay, you pass away and you left somebody 500,000. Okay. Right.
Some people tell me, I just want burial money. Okay. Let's talk about burial money. So again, it's a conversation I have, and I find out exactly what they need. So it's not cookie cutter. We don't do the same thing for everybody.
Right. Okay. That's great. So,
but definitely when people buy houses and when people talk, I definitely ask that question: how much do you owe in your mortgage? So let's talk about, do you want to be able to stay in that house? Let's make sure that we have at least amount to cover that mortgage.
Right.
And then we talk about everything else.
Yeah, because especially now with all that's going on, we really want to have those conversations with people because we're seeing
Mm-hmm.
a lot of probate cases where people didn't have any insurance, or
Mm-hmm.
there's a mortgage on the house, and now you're forced to sell the family house when,
Right.
just maybe $100,000 policy could have put your family in a better position.
Exactly. And
For
that's what I try to tell people.
For $28
It's
a month, right?
for $28 a month. And they say, well, I can't afford that. And I'm like, you spending that at Starbucks. You
Yeah,
spending that at McDonald's. Let's see. I mean, I believe people spend money on what they want to spend money on.
yeah, but you can taste Starbucks. You can't taste that policy. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, think about your family and what they
right.
what your family's gonna go through.
I have some friends. Their kids are bad, so they're like, hey, when I'm gone, I'm gone.
Well, you know what I say to those people? Fine. Then forget the term and just the death benefit. Let me talk to you about how to keep you some money so that you can take some money and go on vacation or retire or, yeah, you're right. Forget about those kids. We want to get you some money.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
let me show you how to put some more money in your pocket. So the money that you spend, that $28 or or $50, don't think about it as giving it away. Think savings account.
okay.
Put it in a savings account. Life insurance can do that for you. It can be a savings account.
All right. That sounds good.
One that you get to use
So
while you're alive.
Another thing I want to talk about too, because being in real estate, there's a lot of landlord-tenant issues. And can you speak a little bit about renter's insurance? Because we always advise that if you're a tenant, you should have renter's insurance.
Absolutely. And we do both. So I can do the policy. I can do rental. We do business policies too, commercial policies. So I can do the whole rental development for the landlord and definitely the renters for the tenant. I tell tenants all the time, so this is all of your stuff in the house. Dump the house upside down. We're going to give you a check for what's in the home. Also the fact of loss of use.
Right.
If there's a fire in the middle of the night and they can't stay, or it doesn't matter what time it is, if there's a fire period and for whatever reason they can't stay in that home and they make a claim, we're going to pay for them to stay somewhere else. So that's an important part of insurance that people don't always know about or understand. Right. I would definitely want that coverage.
So yeah, because a lot of people don't understand that if you are a tenant living in a home, the landlord is insured for the property, but not necessarily the contents. And it's your stuff that's in there. So if something happens, you get reimbursed for you can make a claim against your personal items. In addition to that, it will cover some of your living expenses.
That's right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're seeing most leases now, especially if you're dealing with like a licensed property manager or a legitimate landlord that's a good landlord, they're going to require you to have renter's insurance. As part
I even have some customers that come to me, their landlord provided them with renter's insurance. I don't know, through whatever company. However, we've been able, normally when I do it, my price has been cheaper, so they should call me. Even if they already have it.
Hey, you're going to make some landlords mad because they looking bad.
Hey, you just wanted them to have renters, right? They got renters.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, because maybe they can include it in the cost of the rent or something like that. I mean,
right, yeah,
because it protects the tenant, and ultimately that's what you want to do. Make sure they're safe.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Now let's talk about homeowners insurance. If I'm a homeowner, I'm buying a new home, and sometimes people want the cheapest, least expensive policy they can get, and you want to just cover the home in case of fire or tornado or something like that. But then you also have to think about the contents and other liability issues that you may have as well. So what would you?
So two things with the home. One, when I'm doing home insurance, all of your contents and all of that is included in the policy.
Okay.
We don't pick that, okay? It's all included. You get that automatically when you do homeowners insurance. The things that we look at, we make sure the value on the house, we make sure that number's right. And then there's a couple endorsements that I always recommend to customers. They are extra, but they're important. So backup sewer is what we put on policies that covers them for water damage in the basement. And also we have something called systems protection. It covers we'll replace their hot water tank, their air conditioning, that their major appliances, air conditioning, water tank, and furnace.
Okay.
We will replace. So that's an extra endorsement, and customers really appreciate that when they have it and something goes wrong and they need to replace those items. And that's just part of being a homeowner. So I know with real estate, a lot of times you have a home warranty
Right.
when you buy a house. So they may have that, and so that may work. And so sometimes customers will say, well, I already have that. And so it's fine. I just remind them to call me, or we make a note as to when that ends, because because I know the home protection doesn't last forever. So when that ends, then you need to let us pick up the rest of the protection under your homeowner's insurance.
Right. So that's a good point you brought up, because the home warranty you receive or you purchase when you buy a home is typically a 1 or 2 year policy.
Right.
And
Right.
some companies will extend it, but you're paying anywhere from $425 up to $600 per year. So you're saying that they can
That's
have
crazy. Yeah. The endorsement, our endorsement doesn't cost that much. So if I'm probably cheaper than the home warranty. Our endorsement is in some cases, no more than $100 or less. It doesn't cost that much.
Okay. How does it compare to the warranty that DTE, the utility companies, give when they add that benefit? Have you compared those prices?
I haven't compared.
Okay.
I still think we're cheaper, but I think what the difference is, and what I've heard, if I remember correctly, the difference is the type of coverage.
Right.
I think they've got some rules and some stipulation as to the years and the amount, and they only give you so much, whereas we cover the whole thing, and we don't have any of those rules or stipulations.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because some of those service contracts they have, like if the furnace is more than 10 years old or something like that, they're gonna
Yes.
do an appreciation. So a new furnace may cost you $2,000 or $3,000. They may only give you $500 because of the age.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and we don't do that. We're going to give you the full amount. We're going to replace it. So it's not even about what we give you. We're going to replace it. We're going to send a contractor over there and replace it.
Okay.
Period.
Now talk about the sewer backup. That's interesting because some people have flood insurance because they're in a flood zone, or
Right.
have protection in case, there's a flood in the area and their basement floods. But you said sewer backup. So your storm drain or your sewer line backs up.
So like I have a sump pump
Okay.
where I live, and that's very important to me because that's the first thing I think of is my sump pump not working.
Right.
And my basement is living area. I mean, I got some people that tell me, I don't care, Tammy, there's nothing in my basement. Now, it doesn't just cover the basement. That's usually our biggest problem, but it covers any water. I mean, you can have where else do you have a flood in the house? You could have a flood, something go wrong with your bathroom and your toilet floods or something. So it covers all of that in terms of water damage. But that's the most important thing I think about is what happens when my sump pump stops working.
Right. And a lot of people, their sump pump is run by electric, is powered by, and the power goes out, and it's a storm and it's raining, you get this flood and the power is out.
Yes, and like I said, some people, I mean, my basement is living area, so I've got, furniture and all kind of things in my basement, so that would be very, very important to me.
Okay. Yeah, and in addition to that, if someone has like drywall and it gets wet, now you have mold and everything.
Yes, very, very important.
So backup sewer protection. So we would just ask for that at the time we purchase, or just contact your agent.
Right, because I talk about it with every customer. I talk about it. Right.
All right, that's good. Now, as far as like, I know some people they have like homes that they're living in. They've been there for several years, and they get this cancellation notice because like maybe their roof is old and the shingles are curling or something like that. What will insurance agents do to help as far as giving people time? How much time do they have to correct these issues? Because we've seen people where their policies were canceled because of the condition of the property.
Yeah, so again, those are all on a case-by-case basis, and they'd have to really call me, and we'd have to talk about it.
Okay, all right, that's good. And each
Yeah,
company is different, right?
every company is different,
Okay,
but State Farm does really try to take care of its customers, and I really try to take care of my customers, so.
all right, that's good. So is there anything, because my audience is primarily homeowners, buyers, sellers, and renters pretty much. Is there anything else that you think we should cover that we didn't discuss?
So the other policy that I always talk to customers about is the liability policy. I think every customer should have one, especially when they own a home. And that policy, and I talk to my customers about it, that policy covers them in terms of liability. Someone slips and falls on your porch,
Okay,
you know, in the winter time, if you make a mistake and don't shovel the snow, or, you know, just anything can happen. It also covers in case of an auto in terms of lawsuit. So that's a policy. It's called an umbrella policy, and that's what it covers you for. So and it's not that expensive. So I always talk to my customers about that too.
okay. And speaking of liability, let's talk briefly about pets, because we've seen cases where a homeowner has a dog and their
The
dog
umbrella
gets out.
policy would cover them for the dog bite.
Okay, all right.
Yep. So
So,
they should call me for sure.
right, because some cities, they have like restrictions on certain breeds of dogs and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature, or yeah, because that can get out of hand too, and that can be a huge lawsuit. And
Absolutely.
because people always say he doesn't bite or she doesn't bite, and
Right.
you never know until that dog get out.
You never know.
Yeah.
And I have a puppy too, and I'm always watching them, and they're like, you know, he's so cute. I'm like, okay, he's still a dog.
Right, right. So anybody with any pets that may cause any harm should definitely
Mm-hmm.
talk to their insurance agent.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. That sounds great. Sounds great. All right. Well, it was great. So how do people contact you, and where's your office at? Give us some contact information.
They call me at TammyDeanInsurance.com. That is my website. They can also give me my office a call at 586
Okay.
738 6385. That's 586 738 6385.
All right. You repeated it back like like the commercial, late night commercial. So it's Tammy Dean, Deane.
That's right. There's an E at the end of my last name. Yes.
Okay. Because I don't want them to get the other Dean.
Right.
Looking up or
Don't
something.
do that. Don't do that. It's TammyDeane.
Okay. All right.
TammyDeanInsurance.com.
All right. Sounds great. All right. Well, that was great information again. So look into life insurance, right?
Absolutely. It's a must.
If you don't have it, and call Tammy about saving money on your auto insurance. Or another thing, so some people are receiving discounts because we haven't been driving as much.
Yes, we do that. Some people do get that. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So they're going to, yep. So customers call me, or are they, that's another question I ask. I always ask them, how much do you drive? How many miles a year do you drive? I ask, what do they do? Some people say, why are you asking all that? This is the reason, because the more I know about you, the better I can protect you.
All right. So I haven't been driving my car as much for the past 2 or 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do I have to call you, or is this something that the company is just doing in general? As far as
no, you got to call me and tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta call me and tell me, and then yeah, whatever your bill's gonna stay your bill if we
Right.
don't know, because we don't know how much you're driving or what you're doing, if your life has changed. So you gotta call me. But we are calling our customers, our current customers, and checking on them. So we usually find that out when we call to see how they're doing. We're doing care calls to make sure our customers are okay and helping them any way we can.
All right. You heard, I want all my business owners to hear that, because we do it at our office. We call and check on all of our agents, and we've been calling and checking on all of our clients over the past 3 months, because we want to make sure everyone's doing well. And in your line of work, of course, if you're selling life insurance and things of that nature, you want to make sure your clients are well. So
Absolutely.
all right. So if I haven't been driving much in the past few months, maybe I'm laid off from work, but I still need my car, but I haven't been commuting back and forth to work. I haven't been going out anywhere, because you couldn't go anywhere really.
Right.
Call your agent and save some money.
That's right. Call Tammy Dean, not just any agent.
All right. So let me ask you this too. So let's say I'm just not calling, but I haven't been driving since March, and I call you June 1st and say, Tammy, you know what? I just went back to work, but what about March, April, and early May?
We got to see what we can do. I don't know.
Okay.
It's hard to go back. So that's why I always tell customers, call us right away when things happen, and let's see what we can do. Yeah, it's hard to go back.
Okay. All right.
Normally people will get that bill. They'll get that first bill and they'll say, I'm not driving, or I'm not working, I need my bill to be lower, and then we talk from there. So usually I do get the call right away.
Right. Okay. And that can work in reverse too, if someone is driving a lot more than someone else that has.
Well, they usually don't tell me that part.
Yeah. That's what I'm telling people.
Get that call.
No, but yeah, that's good. So it sounds like just communicate. Don't just
Absolutely.
Don't just go get a policy, pay for it. Really have a conversation about, because you can save a lot of money.
Right.
Explaining some things. Hey, I'm a stay-at-home husband, stay-at-home mom. We just have this second car just to have it. We don't. We probably put 4,000 miles a year on it, so it doesn't have the same insurance as the car we're driving 20,000 miles.
Yeah, absolutely.